Hey everybody, welcome back to AWS On Air. We're here on a Friday. It's evening for me. My name is Todd Fortier. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect at AWS, where I focus on developing solutions for the AWS Solutions Library. With me, as always, is Aaron, my co-host. Aaron, welcome back.
Hey everyone, my name is Aaron Hunter. I'm a principal developer advocate on the AWS Training and Certification team, and we're here to talk about Let's Ship It with AWS with Brooke and Sky.
Hi, happy Friday. I know it might even be Saturday in Australia. I'm joining from New York City where it's Friday afternoon, but let me know whether it's Friday or Saturday for you in the chat. I'm a senior developer advocate with AWS, and I will let my fantastic and esteemed co-host introduce herself.
Thanks, Brooke. Hey, everyone. I'm Sky Hart. I'm calling in from Colorado, and I'm a senior solutions architect and also a member of our analytics technical field community. Honestly, I'm just a huge data nerd, and I get to help startups build every day, which is a super cool job. So thanks for having me.
Yes. A lot of seniors on this call. Very cool.
Old. We're old now. Yeah.
I know. It's not a back thing.
No ageism here. We are experienced.
Experienced solutions architect. That's what I'm going to start saying now.
Yes. We're going to be going through part of our show. Should we head into our demo, or do you have any more questions for us for this start?
Yeah, I want to know more about Let's Ship It. What is Let's Ship It on AWS? Give us a little background, set us up for some context here.
Yeah, Let's Ship It on AWS Modernization is a 5-part series where we have been going through helping people who've been held back by their legacy applications so they can start building some expertise to modernize their applications with AWS. Like I said, we've had 4 episodes so far, and we've got another one coming up. But today we're going to be diving in specifically for modernizing your analytics stack, which is why it's very helpful that we have Sky with us, who is an absolute expert in this field.
Yeah, right on.
So,
yes.
Modernizing. I cannot talk. You can tell it's Friday. It's late in the afternoon. Modernizing data stack with Let's Ship It. So there's 4 episodes. So there's some videos that I can watch. Where do I watch those videos?
Yes, we have a show page where you can rewatch the previous episodes, or if they look like they'd be helpful to your team at your organization, send them through. But you can also set a calendar notification for our final episode next week, where you can join us to cover modernization for your analytics stack, as well as using open source to innovate faster, all on AWS.
So Sky, you've got a really cool demo for us today. Should we just launch right into it and see what we're talking about?
Yes, but I have to set the stage with a company that I have built. So you can share my screen whenever you want, Todd. I am self-proclaimed CEO of the Unicorn Shop, which I still can't say that without smiling, but it's very important to get into what this company does before we get into the demonstration. So we have a Unicorn Shop here, and we sell unicorn gear. I'm not making this up. It's actually live. You can click on Unicorn Float, add it to your cart. I don't even know what a Unicorn Float does, but it's a live website. And the thing with this business is we're having huge successes. Actually, in this little script, it was like, we're having bad sales and I need to fix that. But in my hypothetical company, we are blowing up. The gear is flying off the shelf, quite literally from a unicorn perspective. And with all of this product launch and demand comes lots and lots and lots of complex data on my consumers and products. So yeah. My business needs insights now. I want to see and ask questions about this in terms of how is my shop performing? Where are my customers located? What is their satisfaction and beyond that? And I need to give them the answers ASAP, which is kind of a pretty hard lift. So that's where I'm currently sitting today.
Yeah. A unicorn is a privately held startup valued at over $1 billion. So obviously, we're really living up to that name. If you'd like to support a mythical startup, you can drop a unicorn emoji in the chat like I did on LinkedIn.
All right. There's a call to action for everyone.
Yeah.
Put a unicorn emoji in the chat wherever you're watching from. LinkedIn, Twitch, doesn't matter. Unicorn emojis. I want to see the unicorns. Make it rain unicorns, everyone. All right.
Yeah. And throughout the series, you will see us modernizing this shop in multiple ways, from DevOps to microservices to breaking out my monolith. So this episode, you're actually getting a sneak peek. So you should come to the full episode next week because this is just a little snippet, but it's going to be addressing our data needs. So the shop's having some pain points in terms of, I have a very small, non-existent developer team that has no open source knowledge or server knowledge and can't maintain it. We have growing demands, meaning we have growing data sets, and they're all consolidated in a fictional database on-prem and a couple of varying sources, and people are emailing things back and forth. And ultimately, we need it now, and we don't have a lot of time to write infrastructure. So I'm kind of in a pickle and looking for ways to modernize this shop.
It sounds challenging.
It's really hard to be the CEO and the sole developer at the same time.
Yeah.
Shout out to
your CEO support. I see Eric's unicorns. Yes.
Yes.
Everybody wants a technical co-founder, though.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So,
okay, so we're looking at the shop. We've got tons of data flying through this. And the other episodes, we talk about how we've gotten to this point. But now we have all this data flying through our shop, and we want to update it. We want to modernize it. So where do we go next?
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of benefits of modernizing your data stack. And I came from a data warehousing world where back when it was just transactional data going through. So you have to appreciate what an old data stack looks like to be able to appreciate what a modern architecture looks like. And some benefits that I want to call out and I really want to drill in throughout this demo. One is the automation. So the partner who talked, the sponsor earlier today, talked about automating your data pipeline. So if you caught the beginning of AWS On Air, shout out to them, you'll actually see me kind of break through in the different components. The second is consolidating those data sources, which is a huge benefit because you are going to be performing downstream analytics with people of different capabilities, right? They might have SQL expertise, Python expertise, business intelligence. Maybe they don't code at all. And the third, which is the sole value prop, if I leave you with anything today, it's going to be the whole idea of serverless managed infrastructures and getting away and modernizing that stack. So what we really mean by serverless, if you don't know, it's in terms we offer technologies for running code, managing data, integrating applications, all without managing servers. So your teams can focus on the cool stuff like building unicorn shops, and they don't have to focus on managing servers. So,
Sky, were there any pointers that it was time to modernize? Was there anything that really stuck out that made you feel like, even given your limited staff, this was something you needed to do and you needed to do it now?
Yeah, besides the AWS On Air show coming up really fast and I had to prepare that, I would say other than that pressure, I always talk to customers I work with in this crawl, walk, run approach. So it'll look different from any organization, but when you start to feel like the pressures and you need better insights into your data and you're starting to scale and grow, you can focus on crawl. How do we source the data? Walk, how are we processing it? How are we starting to automate the pipeline? And then run, are we doing any cool generative AI, machine learning, downstream processing, some really fancy stuff? So stages, right?
Fancy like
sorry
a
about that, everyone. Brooke and Sky, I'm so sorry. I got so excited. The unicorn, I went for a ride on one. I left. I came back.
Happens to the best of us, you know?
Well, we had that effect. Yeah, unicorn shops. He was going to work. Bill about it. Right on. Cool. So I think I should show you, especially because I have the task of building a whole data lake or pipeline within 10 minutes. So I think I should probably jump over to this now, if that's okay with you, in front of thousands of people. So this is live. I just want to remind people that this is live. I am moving, so bear with me here.
Yes.
I'm going to demo this in 3 ways. And this is a very simple pipeline. And I'm going to show you how to do this in 10 minutes. And you can do this if I can. The first is going to be, how do we source the data? So ask yourselves, where's the data sources coming from? Do you have databases? Do you have unstructured data? What are the data dimensions? What are the access patterns? For this, I threw some data in S3. And you'll see in my bucket here, I have unicorn gear.
I've got a bucket here too.
Wait.
Do you have a
what does Brooke have?
I thought I would pack my S3 bucket handbag, which anyone who is at the AWS Summit in New York City would have seen in real life. And what is
magnificent.
What's the point of owning a purse like this if I don't bring it out live on LinkedIn?
What's in it, Brooke?
What's in it? Great question.
Do you have
I
any
think I
data?
have my credential. I've got a lot of things in deep archive storage. So I have my credential from the event. I have a sticker of me inside a cat carrier. And I also have a bracelet I made that says generative AI with little letter beads.
See,
Oh,
she's
and then I
prepping
have
her Gen AI data. Wow.
yeah. You can store a lot of things in S3, and I think that's something we're going to find out during this demo.
She's already prepping her Gen AI. I can't even make a good. She's prepping her Gen AI data in S3. See, this is
Multitasking.
it'll all make sense soon. Anyway, so I have this object. I want to show you that I'm not hand waving. I'm not a magician, and I'm just going to query this data in place in the bucket so you all can see using SQL query, and you'll see my query results. Okay, the data is still there. Thank goodness. So now that I have a data source, I'm going to go into the second phase of the demo, which is going to be using this friendly service Glue. So Glue is a great name. I love this Glue. It's a family, so you might hear this suite. And for those of you who don't know, it's a serverless data integration service to discover, prepare, move, and integrate data. So a lot of you have probably heard of ETL, which is extract, transform, and load. So it is a service that will allow you to do that.
Yeah, Glue is one of the services that didn't make as much sense to me until I really started using it. It's something that I saw when I was studying for certifications and things like that. But until I got really hands-on through lots of the features in Glue, then it started to make so much more sense to me. So hopefully that will, will inspire that in some people as we go through the demo as well.
Mm-hmm. And to start, I'm going to, before I get the data from S3, I'm going to make a metadata database. So this is going to be a Glue catalog, what it's called. Essentially, Glue uses the Glue catalogs to store the metadata as data sources and transforms the target. So if you all are familiar with open source, it's like Apache, Hive, Metastores, etc. So it's managing infrastructure and all that underlying metadata. So it makes your analytics and processing later. So I'm just going to do AWS On Air database. Shout out to the show. Create database. Here it goes. That was as quick as it is. So right now, you can do this in two ways. You can first add the table and add the schema structure and then grab the data. Or you can use what's called a crawler to go out, grab the data, and then have that define your structure in your metadata table. So Glue Crawler, another great name. It makes me think about a spider. I'm going to create a crawler right now to go get that data from AWS. I don't know if it makes anyone else in the chat.
Crawlers look at the data, and then from looking at the data, it abstracts a schema from that data based on how that data looks.
Yeah, what they do is they're either scheduled or on demand, and you can query to extract that schema information, and then it stores the metadata. And also, Todd, I'm so glad that you also talk with your hands when you're talking about crawlers.
Oh, I cannot.
How do you not? So I'm gonna do an on-air crawler live. Okay, hit next. And then I have to specify what this data source looks like. So I'm going to add a data source. You'll see a drop down here. I actually did it takes 5 minutes, so I did some pre-baking too. So if I have two different sources, this is a JDBC driver that's connected up to my RDS MySQL database. For those of you who don't know, it's built in Java. It's just a connector. And then
a whole lot of acronyms. Acronym soup over here.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's it. So JDBC, they're essentially it's a software component, and it enables the Java application to interact with the database. So those are two of the sources. But for this case, I'm going to grab this S3 data source, and AWS makes it super easy because I'm lazy. So I'm just going to browse this S3 bucket. I'm going to find my unicorn gear data set. And then I can create all subfolders, crawl new ones, crawl based on events. The event notification is really important too. So we talked about this event notification automation. So when new data is dropped into the bucket or pulled from your source, you can trigger this crawler. It'll crawl out, go reach that data, bring it back into your metadata table.
What happens if my data changes?
Yeah.
Like what if I have different types of data? So the crawler, it automatically picks up that schema change and adds it to my database.
You can configure it, and you can also put in specific transformations. So this is a good example. These are custom classifiers. So it makes sure that you're putting it into the specific format. So there's multiple components to that. There's first, what's the format setting? Is it CSV, Excel, PDFs? What is it crawling, and what does that format structure look like? So you can predefine that. If the data changes, If you add more rows to it, you can specify and point the crawler at to only crawl the new rows that you added to the data set. So it's two ways to think about that.
And just to go back to the event ones as well, that's really helpful if you've got such a small development team like you have at your unicorn startup, Sky, because then you're not waiting for people to think they might need to crawl it. You can have things triggered automatically based on events that occur.
Exactly. Yeah. So of course we have to make some permissions too. So I have you can either choose an existing IAM role but for this one, I'm just going to create a new IAM role. I'm going to do on air. And this will give a proper handshake. And then lake formation is another kind of governance tool that if we had more time come next week, I will definitely go into that. Then I'm going to specify my target, which is going to be the AWS On Air database. I can do a prefix that's optional. I can also specify the crawler schedule, on demand, hourly, daily. I'm doing it once because I'm only going to stream once. Then I'm going to create the crawler. And here it goes.
Love the
dun. Sound effects.
I'm never going to watch this back because I would just cringe watching myself. Anyway, so it created. You will see it here. And now what I want it to do, you're going to see my crawlers. What I want it to do is I want it to run. And what it'll do is it'll actually show you the state it's in. It'll show you the last run, and it'll show you how long it takes. So this Unicorn crawler that I already provisioned, that took me about 3 minutes to crawl a RDS MySQL database and form 3 tables. So it is super quick and super efficient. And when I go back into my databases, you're going to see the AWS On Air database. There's no tables right here. So I'm just going to wait for that to successfully crawl. It's still going. And in the meantime, I'll pause.
So this is out crawling the data sources, inferring schema from those data sources so that then we can presumably do something a little bit later, like query that data. And now because we know the schema of that data, the layout of that data, we can make that querying easier.
Yeah, sneak preview alert. You're exactly right, Todd. It is.
I'll get ahead of myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but we can have multiple. We can have multiple data sources, right? Like if we're crawling, we can crawl multiple. It doesn't have to just be S3 all the time. Can we have other different databases being crawled by the same crawler?
Yeah, you can specify the source as well. As long as you're specifying the source and the target, I would use multiple crawlers for different data sources.
Multiple crawlers.
And then you can keep them, judging based on your business logic, you can keep them in the same database with different tables, or you could create multiple metadata databases too. So
yeah, and Sky, we've got a question from twitch.tv/AWS On Air saying, what kind of files is stored in the S3 bucket? Is it a MySQL dump? Is it a SQL dump? What have we got in there?
Yeah, so that right now for this demo is a CSV file, but S3 is an object storage bucket. So you could store media files, pictures, images, blob store, HTML. It supports a number of different formats. So you can look that up online for all of the sources too. Yeah. And yes, it works live. Good. So I have my table created. You'll see unicorn gear. So the crawler actually populated the metadata table and it created this metadata database. Say that 15 times fast. So right now I'm going to click on view data and actually make sure that it did what I thought it was going to do. So this, my friends, is Athena. So this is the third process and the third thing I'm going to show you today. What Athena does is it's a serverless interactive analytics service built on actually open source framework. So we talk about managed services, and I'm going to go back to it. Glue is serverless, Athena is serverless, and the benefit here is you don't have to guess about what servers you'll need the compute capacity to run these engines on. It's all happening in the background here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make sure that AWS On Air database is here. Yeah, you'll see these are for my 3 additional tables. AWS On Air database has been populated in my query engine. You can see all of the tables that are here from my unicorn gear. And if I want to query it, all I have to do is hit preview table here and I run, and you'll see that it successfully loaded in my consumption engine. And little caveat too, because I want those who are not familiar with SQL not to be deterred by this, because this is just one element that we could consume the data. So think about who your business user are and your end users. So it could go from, if you're comfortable with SQL, you can use an Athena query service. If you're more comfortable with business intelligence, you could use a QuickSight. Or if you want to do full-blown machine learning, you're just pre-processing the data, doing ETL, doing those extract, transform, load jobs, and then pushing it into the output there.
Yeah, just to quickly stop on this section, this is something that we talk about a lot on Let's Ship It with AWS Modernization. There's always lots of things you can do, but knowing what you should do is the big decision. So there's obviously lots of things you can do here, but what you should do depends on your use case, the team you're working with, your tech stack, and some other factors. Do you have any tips for people figuring that out, Sky?
Yeah, and I want to put that in too. So whatever you're doing from a tech stack perspective, actually something I forgot to show and we have additional time is that Glue Studio supports a whole level. So yes, it's built in Spark, but you can also do Python, Jupyter, or whatever you're comfortable with, or you can even visual with a blank canvas that looks like this. So if you don't even know how to code at all, you can build data pipelines, which is a really, really cool user interface for that. So here's that source.
Even
I
if
did
you
not
can't
answer your question.
visual most of the time, it's just so much easier to organize my thoughts like this.
Yeah. And you said, how do you select your tech stack? I didn't even answer your question, Brooke. I got too excited about the different options here. So
It's Friday, just whatever is fine.
Cool. So that is the end of my demo for now. And I just want to say thank you all. And this was very short. I did this in 10 minutes. I'm so glad everything worked. But please come next week to our show because we're going to talk about the details and do more of a full-blown demonstration of the entire episode. And Brooke and I are both really, really passionate about just helping people learn cloud technologies. So the whole mission is we'll slow it down. We'll talk through concepts. We love your questions. Come hang out with us and we'll get you all up to speed.
You said come back next week. Is that next Friday with AWS On Air, or is there a different day and time?
Oh, Thursday, right, Brooke? Keep me honest.
It's at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. Also, like all live shows, they're as interactive as you want to make it. So like this one and like our show and every other show on the AWS Cinematic Universe, get in there, get in the comments, ask great questions. We love to see it. It's always my favorite part of these live shows is seeing everyone's really insightful questions in the comments. And it's always so good to see so many people learning how to build on AWS.
And
Will
Todd
there
asked really
be
good
a
question.
live unicorn? I want to see a live. I want to see a unicorn.
I like to over promise, over under deliver. Also, for whatever reason, I have like a ton of camels on my desk. Like I don't have unicorns. This was not planned either, but I don't have any unicorns. But I have a lot of camels.
A unicamel.
A unicamel.
There will be a unicorn on screen. The data type of that unicorn or how it is displayed as part of the interface, I cannot comment on, but there will be at least one unicorn on the screen. And I know I've seen so many unicorns in the comments after we asked people to do that. So there'll be definitely unicorns aplenty.
And the question, am I branching out to camels too? I haven't thought about that yet, but it would be a really good second product line, I think. So
yeah. Do you think that's something that modernizing the analytics stack will help with?
Storing more water? That's so bad. I don't air that.
All right, Todd asked a question in one of the previous segments, and I loved it, so I'm going to ask the two of you. Where can people go to find more information? Is there a landing page somewhere that we can add in the chat?
Yes, we have a landing page for Let's Ship It on AWS Modernization, which I'm so sure one of our fantastic mods will pop in the chat. And they will be able to get the previous episode recordings of the show, but also sign up for calendar notifications of the new show. If you're not sure when that will pop up in your time zone, just let your calendar tell you. It's a solid strategy.
Yeah, let me find it. I think I'm finding the link.
I love the comments coming in. Llamas, camels. I think there's all kinds of products here. And as you launch more products, your modern data platform can handle all of that data automatically. You don't have to provision the servers. So as your data grows and as your products grow, the managed serverless services grow with you.
Yeah, and not just products, we have different regions. One of our co-hosts up here has been in Tokyo and he was telling us about all the unicorn merchandise he saw there. So we've really just gone global with the unicorn startup. So many more problems to be solved by modernizing Stack with AWS.
Yeah, and I can tell you, as somebody who works on the solutions library, data lakes and data platforms are something that we come into contact with a lot, and people are asking, hey, what solutions do we have for data lakes? So if there are solutions today on the solutions library that help you spin up data lakes very quickly using some of the same underlying services that we saw today, you can go look at those solutions at aws.amazon.com/solutions and just search for data lake, and you'll find a number of really cool things there too. So that's my quick little solutions plug. I have to do it. It's obligatory. They told me if I joined this on Friday, I had to plug the solutions library.
The random fact, the national animal of Scotland is a unicorn? No way. Nice.
Obsessed. I refuse to fact check that. I'm just going to take that entirely on face value because I don't want to know if it's incorrect. So
I did fact check it. You probably wouldn't think of a magical horned creature typically seen on children's lunchboxes, but it's true. The unicorn really is the official national animal of Scotland. That is directly from nts.org.uk, not sponsored.
this is why I love the comments on our show, and this is the type of synergistic insights you can expect on Let's Shift It with AWS Modernization.
And with that.
All right. Well, I think that's a good one to end on. Sky and Brooke, thank you so much for being here and talking to us today. We are looking forward to seeing your final episode next Thursday on the 28th of September. All right.